ways of spawning witch. Step 1, your witch will have red hair. So I'm watching you very carefully. Do we have... So guys, these are our potential witches. Watch them carefully. Very carefully. Second way that you can see if you have a witch or not. They will have a birthmark. The birthmark is where the devil has touched you. Do we have anybody with a birthmark? Be honest. There's got to be more people with birthmarks. I'm watching all of you very closely. You know that my eyes are shooting into you. Third way that you can tell if you have a witch or not. They will have a nubbin. What is a nubbin? A nubbin is a third nipple, because this is where you fed the devil. Apparently 1 in 18 people does in fact have a third nipple. So likelihood is that one of you does. I'm not going to ask you to confess because you might be a bit embarrassed, but be strong in knowing that Chandler from Friends did have a third nipple. Who do we think is most likely to have be a witch out of the 3 with signs, even though I'm sure there are more of you? You're wearing black. I'm sure witches used to wear black. Aha! We have our witch. So I suspect you witch. So I'm going to double check because we in Scotland like to be sure about these things. So I will take you. I will take your thumbs. I will then tie them to your toes. I will then throw you in the Nor Loch. And the Nor Loch is no ordinary body of water. I mentioned, of course, that there are no sewage systems in Edinburgh. But there are a lot of hills in Edinburgh. So all the sewage runs down the hill and collects in one big body of water, known as the Nor Loch. It was said on sunny days that the Nor Loch would be so full of feces that it would actually form a thick crust that a grown man could walk over. So that's where you're going to be thrown into. If you sink, good news! You're not a witch. Bad news! You're dead. Who knew the way to heaven would be so shitty? I'm afraid that's my crappy joke. Sorry about that, guys. But if you float, this is clearly the devil holding you up. So you would be torn from the water, you would be asked again, are you a witch? And you would say, no, I am not a witch. So they would then proceed on torturing you. Very pleasant. They would once again take your thumbs. They would nail your thumbs to the ceiling. They would then take heavy weights and place them on your feet. They would do this until your thumbs ripped off. They would take your remaining fingers and take thumb screws. Put them on all your fingers until your bones crunched and your nails popped off. They would whip you. They would rub salt in your wounds. They would gently torture you in a pretty horrific fashion. And still, you would get asked, are you a witch? And you would still say, no, I am not a witch. They would then decide to burn you. Now, you see, if you burn at the stake, you can smell your skin burning before you actually die. It's not a very pleasant way to go. It can take a couple of hours to die. So it was actually better to confess to being a witch, because then you got strangled and then burnt at the stake, which was generally a more pleasant way to go. And to add insult to injury, the city would then charge your family for the firewood used to burn you. They have a habit of doing that in Edinburgh, adding insult to injury. So, that's witch burning. Not one of the sort of most pleasant chapters in the city.